welcome to this week's episode of the Property Pod. My name is Áine McLoughlin of AML Property Services.
I'm Megs Barrett of Mortgage Navigators.
And I'm David Sweeney of PropertySolicitors.ie.
And this is our first episode back in absolutely ages.
I know, we're all refreshed, tanned, relaxed.
Oh, I don't know about me. David is
Ready
anyway.
to go next season, yeah.
He had the whole month of August off.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't. I've only time off. Yeah.
So great to be back.
Great to be back. We're going to jump straight back into it. I think we're going to today discuss selling a property on. Is that what we're going to focus on?
Yes, so today we are going to talk about the top questions to ask your estate agent when you are selling your property.
Okay.
Often we go from the buyer's side, but it's really important to go from the seller's side.
Yeah, and we do a lot, don't we? We talk about buying a house instead of selling a house.
Yeah, and I think for most people who are selling, they will only sell possibly one or two properties in their whole lifetime, so it's always new.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that you could ask that might help you determine who is the best agent for you and what you need to do.
Okay,
so starting off, I would always say to sellers, if they're looking for an agent, ask the agent, have they sold something in the area or is it within the area that they sell? Because most agents will only work...
the geographical
location,
area.
the geographic
okay,
area.
Makes sense. Yeah,
I know it sounds like a really simple question, but that's the number one question to ask because time, time, people are busy now and you need to figure out whether or not the agent that you're inquiring with works in the location. Another question to ask your agent is, when is the best time to sell?
Time of the year.
Yeah.
Is that still relevant, Anya?
In my opinion, I think when the best time to sell is when you, the vendor, are ready to sell. Because during the summer, of course, your property is going to look more attractive. You will have longer evenings, so more availability for viewing times, and everything looks better in the warmer weather.
Yeah.
But then the stock is generally lower in winter time.
Yeah.
And when the stock is lower, and at the moment there's such a shortage,
Yeah.
and it's second-hand properties that I don't think it would really matter what time, when is the best time to sell. The best time to sell is when you, the vendor, are ready. And this comes into another part for you, the vendor, is have you somewhere to move to? What are your plans with moving? What's your timeline? Because the number one thing to think about is what's best for you, the vendor.
Yeah.
And then your agent should be able to work around it.
And what if you're in a chain? So like you're selling to buy and we'll say the staging of your house. Is that important? Because you're still living in it. You know what I mean? So...
100%. So you're going to be uncomfortable during the time when you're selling your property because you need to make it look as good as possible for that period of time when you're doing the viewings. Now, you're not going to be doing viewings every day. Like you'll discuss with your agent what works with you.
Yeah.
And if, for example, you are selling at different times of the year, so you could stage your property. We're coming up to Halloween. You could put a little bit of Halloween,
Right.
little,
Okay.
Light the fire.
Light the fire. If it's colder, light the fire.
Bake the brown bread.
Yeah.
Well, that would never happen in my house.
Oh, I don't even have a baking tray. maybe buy it early.
Yeah.
Put it on the
I think you
potpourri.
can get candles for that. 100%. Things like that. But staging it, of course, and have it prepared. So if you're meeting your agent 2 or 3 months in advance, start the process. So like your agent will give you some information or tips to declutter, to make improvements.
And going back to picking to an agent, sorry, now I'm skipping back, but let's say, I'm selling my house, but I want to give it to you, Anya. And so I'm County Cork and you're Cork City.
Yep.
Is it really important that you're from the area to sell my house?
No, it's not really important that you're from the area. I think you need to know that the agent will work in the area there because for example, I am a small independent agent. So for many people who deal with me, they're going to be dealing with me from the start to the finish and all throughout the sales process. And we all know that the sales process can be quite a long, tedious journey. I'm going to call it a journey. Because it can be very, very long. So I think when you are deciding on an agent, if you are speaking to the agent, you need to ask them, are you the person I am going to be dealing with throughout the whole process?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be dealing with other member of the team?
Yeah.
Because it's important.
Yeah.
Because it's your most valuable piece of like that. Your property is the most expensive thing that you will ever own.
Yeah.
And it's important for you, the vendor, to know that whoever is going to be selling your property, it's going to be taking care of the viewings and is going to be selling it.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between, I suppose, it just depends on, this is a question that you should ask your agent. Are you going to be the agent who's dealing with it?
Yeah.
Or is it somebody
Someone on the
else?
team.
And another thing is viewings. This is a question you should ask your agent as well.
Mm-hmm.
How many viewings do you do? And do you do open viewings? Are they
Like,
just
what are
by
the
appointment?
options? What can happen?
So certain agents will just do specific open viewings once a week between 5 and 6. Now, for me personally, I'm not a fan of open viewings, but because the properties I am selling, they're generally city centre based. Often they're 1, 2, 3 bedroom properties. And in my view, I feel that people coming in to view them, you want to make sure that they really, really want the property.
That they're not tire kicking, just walking past the street.
It's not a kind of checklist thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to note that I want to know if someone's going to be putting in an offer, I want to know that they're ready to put in the offer. Are they bidding on other
qualified?
things?
Yeah.
Have they everything in order to put the bid in? Now, of course, they'll be producing their
EIP,
their approval in principle, but it's important to ask that. Now, for some people, open viewings, they prefer them. Depends on the property.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It really depends on the property.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important question to ask. I know all the agents now who'll be sending me messages. What's wrong with open viewings?
I know.
But this is only my view. It works for lots of people.
And at the very start, Áine, so like we'll say you come to the house, we're having the chats about you representing the property sale. And I think my house is worth 350,000, and you're saying, well, actually, it's probably worth 300,000. How does that work?
So there are a few different ways to value properties. Most properties are valued by comparable method. So you will look at what are the recent sales. You will look at the condition of the property, the BER, the square footage. There's a few different things that you will look because it's generally one property may not be identical to the next one.
Right, okay.
So it's important to discuss the vendor, what you would anticipate that it would get. Because this is another question that you should have. What should you expect to get?
Sure.
On the day that you meet your agent, they probably won't be able to give you an exact figure because they want to do some investigation to give you more.
Yes.
Sure, they want to manage expectation as well.
Yes, exactly. Manage expectations. Another question is, should I carry out the repairs now of the property? So simple things, I would always say to people, of course, staging, cleaning is really, really important. If there is something that you think that is going to hinder the sale of your property, for example, like if your gutters are falling down, if there is minor roof repairs that are there, if there's certain things that you should do before.
Small things like that,
But they make such a huge difference. And it's minor things that will, like, again,
I think
slow
it
down.
also looks to the how you looked after the property yourself. If someone knows this property was cared for, you'd happy put a bit on it.
Yeah, and there's probably a bit of value in that.
100%.
If you're seeing the gutters are unkept and things, you're like, Jesus.
What else am I going to find?
Exactly, what's under the floorboards kind of thing,
Because most people, when they're buying, they make their decision when they walk in the door. And when they walk in and they can see it's lovely and clean and well maintained, they get the feeling that I can imagine myself sitting down here. I can sit down on the sofa, have a glass of wine. This is me moving into the house. So that's another thing. And the last thing you should ask your agent is, how will you market the property? So I think most people will do their own investigations before they decide on what agent to choose. But they will check their website, check their social media, check their adverts. So we had a discussion recently with James about pictures, photographs and things like that on previous podcasts that we did. And I just think it's the best to showcase your property and it's looking its best. Go back with the, selling your car, make it look as good as possible. But if you are selling your property, go into the agent's website, look at their photographs and think to yourself, do I want my property represented in that condition? and what are they doing to get the most eyes on my property. So there are just some of the top questions I think that as a seller.
You said your estate agent should sell in the locality. Should they also have experience selling the type of building you're selling? So say it's an apartment, or say it's a large house, or a townhouse.
I don't think
does that make a difference?
No, I don't think it makes a difference. Because if you're selling an apartment, it's very similar to selling a larger home. Of course, there's companies who specialize in country homes, and
but you're satisfying the need of the customer.
Exactly. So it's who works with you, but the biggest thing is make sure that you communicate with them really well at the start, because as we all know, the sales process is really long and
slow.
It's
Talking
slow,
about the link to the sales process, when do you pay the estate agent?
The estate agent is not paid until the very end.
Okay, there's no retainer or anything?
No, unless you have an agreement in relation to photography and marketing and the sale falls through. But the agent is not paid until the sale is closed and the fee is deducted generally from the booking deposit at the end.
Okay. Very good.
Really good, Áine. Thank you very much. I've been David Sweeney of PropertySisters.ie.
And I'm Megs Barrett of Mortgage Navigators.
And I'm Áine McLoughlin of AML Property Services in Cork.
Thanks, everyone. You'll find this on all the usual spots.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram. Thank you.
You'll find Áine on Instagram.